A serial killer is set free, and 23 years after his release picks up right where he started. By 1989, Kenneth McDuff was already known around Texas as the broomstick murderer because back in 1966 he had murdered 3 teenagers that were parked at a baseball field, one of which, Edna Sullivan, he had used a broomstick on to assault and end her life. Kenneth had sort of a reluctant accomplice at the time. I mean, he still participated, but he felt bad and ended up turning them both in. Boom, Kenneth sentenced to death, open and shut case. Right? Well, the death penalty ends up getting abolished and his sentence is commuted to a life sentence, and holy hell, is that only just the beginning. In the late 80s, Texas prisons were declared overpopulated, so what they did was they just started trickling out criminals. You know, car thieves and burglars, you know, the usual types that you might expect to get released in an emergency prison thinning. But then they got down to the really bad ones, and you'd think that they'd be like, well, let's just build a new wing. Nope. And just like that, Kenneth McDuff was back on the streets. Immediately after his release, women started going missing. One night, a police officer noticed a car had stopped 50 feet away from a police traffic stop and thought, that's highly sus. So as he walked up to the vehicle, he started to hear cries and the sound of somebody repeatedly kicking at the windshield. That's when the driver stomps on the gas pedal and leads police on a chase where he loses them. Another night, Kenneth happened to be driving around and his car just suddenly dies, always with the fucking car troubles with these serial killers. But anyway, the car breaks down, he goes into this convenience store, on a whim decides to hold it up, then he leads the clerk, Melissa Northrup, out to her own vehicle where he drives her out to her death. Now, by this point, McDuff was somewhat on police radar because multiple of the missing women, their last known whereabouts was with McDuff and his brown Thunderbird, but despite that, they still didn't pursue the paroled serial killer all that hard. But now that they found his vehicle near their convenience store, they zeroed in on him, but McDuff was nowhere to be seen. America's Most Wanted decided to run the story of the McDuff case on their program, and all of a sudden, police over in Kansas City received a phone call from a trash company worker claiming that the killer in the program looked a hell of a lot like his co-worker, Richard Fowler. Well, good old Dick Fowl turned out to be, of course, Kenneth McDuff. They finally offed the bastard in '98.